Ipani muksieg, kisi yang kitel manendan wen nuda, kin luwaluksin, uksitan delia bokon matk, akli sudimino, ahtan deloltik, wichigadieg Marianne, nankamuida ben Alfonso. Telueb ki stesi bonkek bemiach, menakiaski unia da seknuk, nenuide de muamak dan desa kokoigisadorop.
I'd like to thank the Chief and Council for choosing my father to be honored, and I also would like to thank the Mi'kmaq Wyoming Secretariat as well, because in the past, we've been honoring a lot of great people from this community, and and my father was one of them. He was a very, very well-liked, well-traveled, and very, very good man. And I remember in the earlier days, we all were always going on vacations in these cars, and everything always goes wrong for my poor dad there once in a while. But if we didn't have a flat tire, the tent would fall down in the middle of the night in the rain, and we'd all have to carry out. But it was always an adventure traveling. It was a lot of fun, because we used to travel. Betty, Wendell, Vernon, me, Alfie, my mom, and if it wasn't PEI, it's we traveled all over the place, when we were younger. So we have a lot of fond memories, of togetherness, as a family.
I remember we had good times, bad times, like in any other family. We did. But the good times outweighed the bad times. It was really nice to grow up with a man that had his values, and that's what he taught us. Both of them, my mother and father.
He took me when I was 2.5 years old. He adopted me for reasons that I'm not going to discuss, but he brought me up as his own son. The values that I have today is because of him and my mother. My father was very family oriented. Family was everything. And I'm like that today. My family is everything.
Yeah.
And I know, like Betty and Wendell and Allison, we're a close-knit family. And we're always was and always will be. And that's what he left us. Respect for your neighbor. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's the way I want to live.
Alphonse was 9 years older than me, and my other brother Robert, 3 years older than Alphonse. We always went with Alphonse and Robert. Somewhere we followed them. Growing up, I left school here at 16. Went to work in the woods in Maine with Robert and Alphonse. A lot of old people. And I learned, I listened to them when they start talking. They talk Mi'kmaq so highly, like, there's no English words for what they were saying. It's all Indian, pure Indian. So I never forgot that. Today I can talk Indian, mostly Indian. Name some things I learned how to call things. Nowadays, young people, they forget the name of anything. It's too bad. But
Alfonso, kesat ke benek, megi det keb, akli sudimino. Mobasaga edli nui sigupta nedel lugach, en nogolulab ni unjank. Asuduo kom kedli asudumane wintokop. Pemko bida di chennu sakamau, ahtani nigan bugudemi di chennu egadi, kisnedel dua di dich, nan nui sidew.
How I knew Alphonse and Alice, I think they were best man, best woman, how do you call that, for my parents when they got married. Elistuguj, uncle's away, Malawi de age, Malawi de age, up to Toin Karama in Nuchal, much away de Nigga Ipis in Cup. They may each car and give Gizuwadi, well, Gizu, which we have Maya. I mean, the 12 of the Alphonse hockey team start the water away. I start the water on them. I rink, Eldoms, Coinis Caminite, Elduxia rink. With a Chandler Eldike, but I need more now, Casumai. They him again as I can, where you jokes and case now. As a would one night, or a wee bit of that you can do. I got Pentali, no, Macto Bentali. Admili die, right? Chandler. Alphonse second to Baja 59 away Ford station wagon. But what you all banis come only there, but bumper him that doesn't pay it to. We will die Chandler. And the time mega railroad track, watch you week, la. Ach, no, I did nah. Ach, Jesus, I'm so on them in no age, out the Charlie Kala. Now, you guess no good evening. You know, Mopsido and car steady delivery moody by car sickness. You know, when it's got chain and that's all do even pumpery to see the jiggle out. I was one lip all do even out this guy just done that part as a member like anyway, in Alphonse, so now again, I got my walks in. Eldai Rocky game Matthew Julie and his come. In West School, them over 50 years ago. You know, a monkey, the Negam Sut Korea, his Amak sent to me, like his family, we were hardly on court. More and the blood donation go, that was a boy, was on Negam. Yeah, but a steady go here, baseball, my Jaziga, Nama looks here, Matthew Julie, a uniformal boy, Pichunk, Wallagalo, practice old year, Akmo, but I guess I could tell about Muxia. But I get look is on a genome because more than we saw Cordella more more interesting, you know. Nige will Hennu Milidaji, Nige Piganchigo, Keskabigi, tournament, Nazi Daji, said Tammy. Got the Monega model Delaware in week canoes on. I'm watching Mark win. Mardi got Nige, yeah, this come those you got die, Delaware in generation in which could go, Negam Gisado, coin the Delamu, Igan Ipe, now what till the Kiskuna.
He was a big part of my, as far as sports is concerned. I remember,
Should
yeah, but I played, I was the first native from the community to play organized hockey in Hamilton. And he knew the manager that ran Memorial Gardens. His name was Jimmy Grimes, and they were good friends. So I don't know what it was, why natives weren't allowed to play.
Oh, yeah.
But finally, he got me in there, and I played organized hockey since then. He was a big part, like not just for me, for the community. Like he organized. I remember him going to Jack the River with his team, baseball team. They traveled all over the place, and he was a big part of that. Hockey, he organized hockey. We went to Nova Scotia, played hockey there, and he was always the one that organized it. He was a big part. Back before the '81 raid, we had our own league here on the reserve, and 6 teams. You wouldn't believe it. They have a hard time making one team now, but we had our own. We had our own league, and for a couple of years he played. He played ball.
Metallics
Yeah.
team, I remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was a big sports.
My father used to organize baseball, hockey tournaments, and as kids, one time, we traveled on the train, to Ottawa, and we were, just like 12, 13, 14, adventurous kids. So he had his hands full. He didn't have enough people helping him to control about 14 of us, including Wendell.
He was basically involved in, at that time, In his younger days, he was involved in lots of recreation, which we all love. As you see, our family is always involved in local sports. Even my son today is into a lot of sports. He was one of the volunteers around here. The first rink that was built over here back in, I think it's down at the flat somewhere in that area. And so basically, it wasn't a lot of things. I used to travel with him all over when he was welfare officer for 5 other reserves in New Brunswick. He did quite a few jobs, from recreation director to welfare officer to community development officer to bank counselor, chief. He did it all.
My mom and dad always considered Alice and Alphonse as being personal friends, and of course we as kids also identified with that, and we were also close with them. I remember being in church after Christmas Eve Mass. I did the season's greetings to Alphonse, and he invited me over to his house after midnight Mass. Of course, I told him that we as a family also had a little get together at the house, but I said once everything is over, I probably will go over, and which I did. When I got in, they had just started opening their Christmas gifts, and when I was sitting there, Alice called me over and she said, "We have something for you also." I said, "Really?" I said, "Why would I be special, you know?" And that's what I thought, you know. And so anyhow, she handed me a Christmas gift. I opened it, and it was a nice scarf, which it was very nice. But what I found out later was what they used to do was that they used to buy a couple of extra gifts for guests that may come in while they were opening gifts, and they didn't want to leave them out in the open, so they would buy one for a guy and one for a girl, and which they always did, you know. And that's something that Karen and I also started, you know. Don't leave anybody out. There might be somebody unexpected, but that's what Alphonse and Alice had done. And then I opened one.
Door was always open. That's why we were there. Door was always open. They were great people to be around. Him and his wife were, well, like I said, Auntie Alice and Uncle Alphonse, you know. I mean, you ended up calling them that because you felt like they belonged to you. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in this community, at least my age and over, who felt the same way. We felt really welcome. That was one of the times we came home just at the right time. They were having the big gathering, and we had to go. And of course, we ended up, I don't know how we ended up in the middle of that, but we were having a good time.
Maulugo Diego Bafonso, ni nach linguist, Luisit, down the blois. Luca de Megab, Kluswahane, Wiga digan, the Luisik Micmac lexicon. Kahada again, Algida Sagaban, there's when she gom, Listugusk. A haltigan modibnik, sec leg. Was a gabach, was school das a gub, Modanaduchi boxik she das a gub, Actli Sudimino dan Delgalic cigar. Luego Panem 40% and Nui Sultivni list to which you walk. Kiskuk, Jamo 10% Anigan Nui Sultichik.
Janice Vicaire was also working on the file, and they had a noted linguist from Montreal. The fellow's name was Don DeBolis. He was the language expert. But Alphonse at the time had problems with the lexicon, as far as because for some reason it had to be lexicon had to be translated within the French language. There was the passive connotations with respect to particular words, and that is something that he had to develop a certain expertise for, which of course you don't necessarily need in the Mi'kmaq language. But since it's being introduced by something else, because languages have a knack for technicalities. And he used to have problems with the passive adverbs and certain connotations in the language itself, which weren't there as a common everyday language.
I always admired him because of his deep concern with the Mi'kmaq culture and the Mi'kmaq language itself. And later on, he was very conscious of the Mi'kmaq people themselves. He was a very proud person, and he wanted to contribute towards the well-being of the Mi'kmaq people, not just Listuguj, but Mi'kmaq as a whole. He was also a person that was very proud of the language. He kept the language alive. He worked on the lexicon, and that lexicon is still being used today as a platform of the integrity of the Mi'kmaq language. You see, so when we think about Alphonse, we think about him as the big thing, the Restorus raid, but we sometimes forget the a pathfinder, a man that opened a lot of doors for the native people of Canada. Never mind, just Restorus. And I think we need to be acknowledge him or our elders more often because he was put in a situation, where he never backed out, and even with all that was going on, the raid and the people coming in from, you know, the forces, the SQ and all these forces coming in, you know, he never backed down an inch, and he made what we have today. Sometimes we take it for granted. You know, we don't think of the people that stood up with the government. Sometimes people just they talk a lot and they fade away. But there are some people that will walk the talk, for example, and he was one of these people.
I was I also served in council at the time when the situation came around. We were trying to solve it between council and the province of Quebec. However, Quebec, because of the lobbying group that was being done by the Atlantic Salmon Federation, wouldn't all they wanted us to do was to quit fishing. And we've always said that our fishing rights were never open to negotiations of any kind. If there was any aspect within the fishing program that we would work on would be, for example, conservation. And having a conservation plan does not negate your fishing rights.
There was a meeting going on, national meeting going on, GA, General Assembly for, at that time was NIB they called, National Indian Brotherhood. So when word came of the raid here, early morning raid, so everybody was up. We got on the phones, we headed right to the band office, and I forget what time it was in Regina at that time that morning, so to notify them and what was going on. And as the meeting started that morning in Regina, my father made a plea to the First Nations of Canada that there's a raid going on and help is needed in Listuguj. So they gathered the chiefs all together. They chartered a jet to Charlotte at that time. Was one of the biggest jets that ever landed in Charlotte, with the chief, the national chief at that time, who was Del Riley, I believe, coming off the plane. And I remember my father giving stern warnings to Chabet that time, not Chabet, to the government of Quebec at that time, to get out of a reserve, or I remember the words he said, or I will not be responsible for any bloodshed. That's how he put it. That's how, man, he was never a man, never get mad, my father. But that day, they really got him.
We weren't going to give up. whatever what was said in there, no, we're still going to go out and do it. We were going to still exercise our rights. It was very difficult. It was a very tense situation, and he was a type of a person that he wasn't going to give up no matter what. He was willing to sacrifice himself to get his point across. It's not because he's stubborn, but I think it was the pride that he carried with him. See? And negotiations as you go, it's basically people will tell you when you sit down to negotiate, it means that you're willing to give up something. But in our case, no, we couldn't give up anything because we had nothing to lose at the time, basically. And we had so much to gain, not just our fishing right, but recognizing the treaty rights of our people.
We were ready for them the second time. And they must know something about it, that we were ready for them. When we had the blockades and all this, they bluffed their way the first time, but the second time they couldn't do it. The second rate, they had to come from Camel, but they never entered the reserve at all.
Imagine nenu maji wala New Brunswick ka aleru laji na mala adu nenu dem tami nenu ka wal nenu because anyway politician wali nui is asli we see aka imagine ga adagalo labni na ha marnuksiega na ha amu sa telephone mistakte ga ka abida mini ways warriors sit ka Nova Scotia ka ala New Brunswick ga kabi ennu abo muksiega beniga uksit madnan napchugida dis wabol dis guys kastabola na anyway na nega ma mikan bugui Alphonse on muji basiku delawa ba a great terminal sel madn mene migude na mage headdress naska ba nado en winter bekas lemon truck it to ga temporary ga bage kan jugis lawado uksida whiskey die ka sia whiskey die bigel do ko ji ga na kamel le jabat bijolo pileglu ma mo na jod me gis ko was kidi ji ya da kam na ko ta gi sa do ko de la mo na an ko zona an ko ne mi nin raid na ka ben nu za mo li mo tes mo isi mi no ko ta sa bu dai ya ka kis ko ga was kidi me na ka meski de la web na dai me
I traveled with him a lot, right across the country. And also, we spent some time in London during when the discussions were being made with the constitution, the repatriation of the constitution. And we had gone to London, England, to meet representatives of the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth, and to as a promotion for our sake. It was more like an information session, and we wanted to get support from whoever we could get support from. So we did our share in that area as far as the constitution is concerned. I certainly, I was shocked when I heard about him passing on, and I do believe he was in British Columbia when he got sick, and basically, didn't last too long. But it was a shocking experience. It was like, losing a family member. That's how close we were, and we had a lot of good times, basically. And after a while, he's missed. Because you go to a meeting and he's not there. You see, it's always there was always a void, wherever you went to, But yeah, he was as far as I'm concerned, he was a great man. He was a great Mi'kmaq person, and certainly he'll live on for a long time. I mean, it's the fishing agreements that he had come up with, the Mi'kmaq language that he worked on, and he was a very, and I think what happened was when he was doing the hymns and all, the Mi'kmaq language is very powerful. When you say something, it really has some effect. It has a voice to it, and that's why I do believe when he negotiated, he he was thinking in Mi'kmaq, not in English. See, that's how powerful he is. See?
Well, when he passed away, I mean, I used to run the Restigouche Arts and Crafts above the wood pile, and I taught arts and crafts, and we sold our crafts. And Alice came to me one day and asked me if I would make him a vest so that he'd have a nice vest for his meetings. And I said, sure. So I got his measurements and I made him a vest, a nice leather vest, and I put our traditional beading on it. And, you know, she was very happy with that, and she said, he's going to use that for all his meetings. I said, great, you know, that makes me happy. And then, of course, when I found out that when he passed away, because I think we were away at the time, and I said, we came home and we saw him in the coffin, and he had the vest on, and I was like, wow, he's got the vest on. And Alice said, yeah, we're going to bury him in it. And I said, I'm very honored. And then I kicked myself after I didn't take any pictures of that damn vest before. I was like, it was a nice vest. But yeah, I just, for me, that was an honor. I felt that I had something with him. I sent something with him, and it was, yeah, it just felt great. I mean, it's a good feeling.
Giskug Alphonse widaba, a hapchili wiguma, te taksek lek, me wichi del muswala didl. Well, da sinanige dandel gaisk, nabuigagab, taliakal, sige nu sakama widek, seda nemkel, pa be wid begisinkek, duwa dimk, 1981 nek, ni benigos, kulamangis na miya doksab, dandel mildu webinak. Ninda ka duwag sa mugaben, ninak merfeno, nandiya ninak, may gisin nenwadis sa nukla muksiswawa. Namsit.
Na Boston killed it'll do my jangay dalak sut kamo. Because it's steady tanjueli ala I come in no na by politics nas be now me 20 years. Ak tamili lan way ga dila ne we dut. Me when at least which Alphonse metali. Yeah. I hope quiz la much away the windle deliwited. It's steady. I look out the bin and the witch Alphonse I'm set tamila bin the windle. Yeah, can't do that me. Fisco in what Landes and no that Dala age north.
Personally, I wish I were as fluent as Alphonse was in singing in church. I wish I had shared that same enthusiasm that he had for, because he was a diehard observant of our church, and I wish I could have been as great as he was as far as singing in church. That's because he was quite committed to to St. Anne's, and so was Alice. Guys get which one guys gizaiek, guys Billy Aladiek. Pogolta ja ei tiedä, saat vielä voksi listu voisi. Näkemä kun nuus amavide.
Looking at his picture, I did me ache, which is great to see. It's always with some people, which is great to see, which is great to see. Nilen, majuino. Ego igalaji no, panan no igalaji nego. Uwanaisin. Undale manan no. Ego black igadua maitsk la daluisi bingo half medu Jimmy Payo Jano and no and they be some on Vemit and no is it schedule. The Samoan said he Vemit.
There's one famous quote, you know, that I'd like to mention is, and it's featured on the building that was dedicated to him, you know, what's known as a Ranger building. Sure, we'll still be fishing. You can't stop the water from flowing. Well, neither can you stop the Indians from fishing. Nobody will deny us that right. Chief Alphonse Metallic. Hasta in Grudleway, Nutjora, Dojik Saludup, Daisy Town, Gezalaban, Ninen, you know, Matchway Julieg, you know, well, Gnuda Muxiegap, Amandaz own way na that, you know, well, Aliek.
I found it so hard when we first found out that he had cancer. You know, the man was so full of life, and to watch him go down. You know, he was sick for a long time. He fought a good battle, and he kept his spirits up right to the end. Even though we expected that he was going to pass, when it did happen, no, it just sucks the life out of you. You know, because he was such a big part of this community, a big part of our family. You know, and we loved him. So, yeah, very fond memories of him. You know, he used to come to my house every day to visit us and visit the kids. You know, he'd never miss. That's the type of person he was. So all I can say is that you know, he left us with good memories. You know, we'll remember for the rest of our lives. And someday we'll see him again. Yeah.
Hopefully not too soon.
I'm in no hurry.
I'm no hurry. I'm pretty sure he's not in a rush to see us either.
We will give a good hand to the choir, to Alphonse, because